Welcome to HB Reddit Stories. Today we will see stories of r/am I the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for encouraging my daughter not to watch her cousin or clean up his mess? Whenever my sister Lynn goes to any family event, she never watches her own kids and expects everyone else to, including my own children, who have complained about it. She will leave the room with her toddler, that acts like a wild animal. I told my children, 10 and 13, not to be duped into watching that brat. My 13-year-old daughter left the room when my sister left her alone with her kid to gossip with my mom. My daughter got up and left. Lynn's toddlers pulled all the food off by the tablecloth and spilled red pasta sauce all over my mom's carpet. The kid was screaming, and Lynn started to yell at my daughter when I told Lynn it was her responsibility to watch her own kids. Lynn said she thought my daughter was watching that baby. I asked her, "Did you ask my daughter to?" Lynn said she thought my daughter was smart enough to watch kids if they were alone with them. My daughter said maybe Lynn should be smarter next time she thinks of having kids that she can't control or watch. Yes, this was rude, and I laughed. My mom told my daughter to help pick up the mess because she helped cause it. My daughter refused, saying it was Lynn's fault because she let her kids run around like animals. My mom said we could all leave because we had no respect for her or her house. My daughter said she wouldn't be back until her grandmother and aunt respected her. I took my kids home. My mom thinks I should punish or talk to my daughter and make her apologize, but I won't. I don't think my daughter did anything wrong, and it's Lynn's fault for not watching her own brats. Top comments. Honestly, at the age your kids are, I would say entirely not the a-hole. Not only for how you are supporting them to express their feelings and needs, but also not bend to the pressure. Don't accept responsibility for things that are out of your control and you haven't agreed to be your responsibility, and teach your children the same. You seem to be doing an excellent job on that. The retort your daughter gave was indeed rude. It would have been better to not say things about others' reproductive choices, because it is quite obvious she is picking up these opinions and judgments from her parents. But either way, the parent is the responsible person for whatever the child did, even if there was another minor babysitting. Not the a-hole. Lynn should hire a babysitter if she can't keep track of her kids. Good on you for supporting your kids in this situation. I can see how in many families the responsibility could be rolled onto the shoulders of the older kids and force them to babysit just by default, which honestly isn't right. Parents need to be responsible for their own kids. Not the a-hole. My mom told my daughter to help pick up the mess because she helped cause it. How did she help cause it? By not psychically picking up on her aunt's responsibility handoff. When my kids were that age, I never left a room without being clear who I was asking to watch the kid, and never took advantage of that. If you have a kid, they are your responsibility. End of story. Not the a-hole. Your sister is assuming people just look after their kids, and she shouldn't. If she had asked. Other story, but even then your daughter should always be allowed to say no, and sister has to accept that. Good for you for standing up for your daughter here. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law that her side hustle makes her a bad person? My brother, 33M, and his wife, 30F, have two young boys, 3 and 1. My wife and I have a 5-year-old son, so over the years we have given them quite a few items that we no longer used/needed. Crib, clothes, toys, various baby items, etc. Most of the things were just taking up space in our house, and we knew they would put them to use, so we had no problem giving them away. We visited them a couple weeks ago for their 3-year-old's birthday party. During the party, sister-in-law mentioned that she has been selling off a bunch of baby stuff as a side hustle. Both she and my brother are the youngest of their families, and she said that they get so many hand-me-downs from their siblings that they couldn't keep track of them all. Her solution was to start selling these gifts off online to make a few extra bucks. She was basically bragging about it. I told her that is a pretty crappy thing to do, considering that these items were given to them as gifts that they willingly accepted and were expected to use. I asked her if they had sold some of the things we have given them, and she laughed and said that she was sure she did because we've given them a lot of stuff. I told her that if I had known she was going to sell those items off, I would have given them away to someone else or donated them to a local nonprofit that helps young mothers in need. She got defensive and told me that it's not like she's making a lot of money off these things, just a few bucks here and there. I told her that the people buying those items are probably the same people who would benefit from getting them for free and that she's taking advantage of them. She went off about how hard things are with the economy right now and how they need all the help they can get financially. Mind you, both she and my brother have college degrees and work full-time. I know raising kids is expensive, but they aren't in dire straits. I told her that she probably shouldn't expect us to give them anything else in the future, and I would probably suggest to my other siblings that they refrain from doing so as well and look into other options for donating things. She got defensive again and told me that she doesn't feel like she's doing anything wrong. I told her she's entitled to feel that way, but my opinion of her as a person is now lesser because of this. She said that selling things they don't use to make a few bucks doesn't make her a bad person, and I told her that considering they were given these things for free, it kind of does. By this point other people had noticed our conversation and my brother stepped in to end the conversation before things got too heated. He told me I should mind my own business and that if I don't want to give them anything else in the future, that's my choice. But that I took this too far by calling his wife a bad person for selling things they don't use. Top comments. Knowing that you and your siblings were all giving not gifting, her hand-me-downs, you had to think that maybe they were being given more than they could use. Just as these things were taking up space in your house, they are now taking up space in theirs. After you give them all away, you lose the right to say what's done with them. Could she have donated what she didn't want/use/didn't need anymore? Sure. But she decided to sell them, and I'm going to assume she's selling them as used, so not for a huge amount of money. You could have done either of these things, too, but you, and your siblings, just assumed they would need all of your unneeded stuff. Knowing that it's so many of you who want to offload onto her, and that they could realistically only want or need so much of it, it would have made so much more sense to show her what you were looking to get rid of, or ask what she needed, and then tell her to pick what she wants and that you'll deal with the rest. With the rest, you could have found someone else who needed things to offer them to, donated to an organization/place of worship, or sold them yourselves. It would have been your choice. But you didn't. You all gave her more things than she could actually use, and it was all just taking up space their home. Selling it is what she decided to do with it. You are the a-hole for criticizing her for it. What y'all do it in future, however, is up to you, and they seem fine with that. Edited to add, damn, what blinding black/white vision so many of you have. Have you ever thought about low-income parents that have no access to charities, no social network of friends/family willing to give them things, and not enough time/energy/bandwidth to search out ways to get free baby stuff? Low-income people who are not the parents but want to gift something to someone they know and love having a baby and would like to choose something. Perhaps a low-income parent that would like to spend a few bucks to pick something they exactly want for their child. People that just prefer secondhand as opposed to new, but would like to be able to pick what they want. While, sure, it would be nice if OP's brother and sister-in-law gave the things to someone else for free. But they found a gap in the market and people wanting and willing to purchase these things. Why should we tell these people that want to purchase these things that they can't because they should be getting them for free from a charity? You are the a-hole. You gave her family some stuff. At this point the stuff was no longer yours. She can do whatever she wants with it, sell it, burn it, whatever. You get zero say. Yes, you're perfectly entitled to no longer give her hand-me-downs, i.e., your trash, that's your choice. You are the a-hole mostly because you're judging her for what she does with her family's stuff. Enlisting the rest of the family to follow your lead. They get to make their own decisions. Eyes on your own work, Super Chief. Not the a-hole. I'm with you on this one. Selling a bulky item here or there wouldn't be a big deal to me. The secondhand market for baby stuff is huge and a discount on a big ticket item can be a win-win for both parties, but calling it a side hustle and bragging about how much money she's making off of her family's generosity doesn't sit well. Guess she's never heard of the concept of paying it forward. I don't think you're going to convince her you're right though, so I would just avoid the subject moving forward. And donate your things to a charity or local buy nothing group instead. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not forcing my fiancé to wear my father's late wife wedding dress? My father lost his first wife, I'm going to call her Mia, more than 30 years ago. It is a very long and complicated situation, but to summarize it, My mother is the second on his heart because he's always said that the love of his life is Mia and he always made it clear. My dad still wears his wedding ring with Mia in one hand, my mom bakes a cake for her birthday, my mom leaves my dad alone when it's his anniversary with Mia and he's feeling down, there are many photos of Mia in the house, there are even photos of her in their room because my father never wanted to change them, etc. As crazy as it may seem, this kind of thing is very normal within couples of this type and they see that as something normal and sweet even if it is not. For example, making a cake every Mia's birthday was the idea of another woman who is also married to a widower and does the same thing. I've been raised that way, kind of having two mothers. Even if it wasn't like that. It was not a healthy childhood, but luckily I have gone to therapy to work on all the issues that this caused. My mother always says that he gives her the space she deserves and feels equally loved like he loves his first wife, my siblings, and I don't see it that way because our mother deserves better. But if she is happy we will not ruin her happiness, so we never talk about it. Now, coming to the problem, I'm going to marry my fiancée. Her mother never had a wedding ceremony so she doesn't have a wedding dress to inherit, so my girlfriend excitedly told me that she thinks it would be cute to ask my mother if she can use her dress. My mom has mentioned that in the past and I don't have any sisters, so I thought it was a nice idea. Anyway, I talked to my mom about lending her dress to my fiancé and she got really excited and said yes. My mother had spoken several times about wanting to have a daughter to wear her dress and she was very excited when my fiancé asked her to wear it, she even tried it on. That conversation was closed. Now, almost a month after we talked about it, my mom asked my fiancé that it would be nice to wear Mia's wedding dress. My fiancé told her no, she feels a connection with my mother and not with Mia, she doesn't even know Mia. After that my mother has been asking me to try to convince my fiancé to wear Mia's dress. My father wanted me to put up the typical decoration to commemorate the deceased, but I told him I won't do that, so my mother now wants my fiancé to wear Mia's dress to commemorate her and for her to be present too because she was someone really special. Again, I never meet her, I don't know who she was. My fiancé told me that Mia is a total stranger to her. My fiancé wants my mother's dress. She wants to give her a special place at the wedding since my mother sees her as a daughter and she as a second mother and wants to have a special moment. I told my mother that I don't intend to do that, it even seems gloomy and weird to me, but I have been raised around Mia's memory that sometimes I don't even understand if I am exaggerating or not. Am I the a-hole? Being raised in this kind of way sometimes makes me feel confused about what is normal and not in a family. It would be normal to ask my fiancé to wear Mia's dress in my family dynamic, but I don't know what someone who was raised normally would do and if I am a bad person for not wanting to have done it. Top comments. Not the a-hole. Why would your fiancé want to wear the dress of woman? Neither you or she has a connection. No offense to your parents, but it's a weird and creepy request, and your father wanting you to have some sort of in memoriam at your wedding to his deceased wife is odd. OP replies. For him it is something normal since we always have to have something in commemoration of her even if we feel uncomfortable. Not the a-hole. But a word of advice, if you want your wedding to be what you want you have to pay for everything. Asking to wear your mother's dress is a lovely idea, but don't forget that you are asking a favor. There are bound to be conditions. From what you wrote it sounds like it's your mother that's pushing the idea of your partner to wear Mia's dress. Are you 100% sure your mother is comfortable sharing her dress? Also, with how you described your dad's behavior regarding Mia, are you sure he is okay with your partner wearing the dress? Personally, if you don't want to incorporate Mia in your wedding dress or picture, that is your prerogative. But I would encourage your partner to find her own dress to avoid further drama. A simple message like Mom/Dad, we appreciate your initial offer to use Mom's dress. We felt incredibly grateful, wanted something special to share between us on our special day. Unfortunately, we have decided to do our own thing as we are realizing the feeling might not be mutual. The significance of using Mom's dress was to highlight the love between you two and the extended love you have for us. But the recommendation of using someone else's wedding dress, that we have no connection to, makes us feel that you don't share the excitement in sharing the bond. That's completely understandable, and we don't fault you. We are just excited for our day and want it filled with love and joy. We hope that you can understand where we are coming from. OP replies. My mother talked many times about how she would have liked to have a daughter to wear her wedding dress, and she even had that talk with my fiancé before I asked her to marry me. My mother was really happy when we asked her for the dress. My fiancé knows my parents' situation, she has always been close to my mother. My father also wants my fiancé to use that dress. This all started after I told my father that I am not going to do anything in memory of Mia. Not the a-hole. But, your mother is in an abusive relationship. She needs help. He might be physical, but he's destroyed her emotional well-being. Opie replies. Yes, he did. My brothers and I have tried to help her in the past, but he and some widowers groups has totally brainwashed her. Is your dad pushing the issue, or is this your mom wanting to please your dad? Opie replies. Knowing my father, he's probably filled my mother's head with that subject. He hadn't said anything until I refused to do anything in Mia's honor at the wedding, and he also want my fiancé to use that dress. Next story. Am I the a-hole for getting my step-siblings taken away after my mom and stepdad kicked me out? I, 16F, am in a really bad situation and I'm not sure if I did the right thing, so I need some input from internet people because I don't know if I trust any of the adults around me anymore. My parents split up a couple of years ago because my mom cheated. I haven't seen my dad since he left because he moved out of state, but he calls or texts sometimes. So I lived with my mom even though I didn't want to because she moved her boyfriend in and I hate both of them. He came with 2 kids, 7M, 5M, that he has most of the time, and they are the worst behaved kids I've ever met. I was always in trouble because I would have to babysit them, but they crash around and break things and I'm not allowed to punish them, but it's my fault anyway since I was watching them. They broke the TV throwing a baseball in the house and my stepdad lost his mind and demanded I pay him back for it, but I told him I was sick of being blamed for his awful kids and he could shove it. It turned into a big fight and they kicked me out and told me not to come back until my attitude was better. They took my phone, so I tried to call my dad from a friend's phone, but he never answered and I couldn't remember my grandma's number. My friend told her parents even though I asked her not to tell anyone, and they called the cops and it turned into a whole thing. My mom told them that I ran away because I was mad I had to babysit, but they didn't believe her, I guess, because my grandma finally came and picked me up and she says I'm staying with her until my dad can get here to take me back with him. My mom called my grandma last week yelling because her boyfriend's kids got taken away to go live with their mom because of the whole thing, and it's my fault. My grandma says it's not my problem, but I know the kids hate going to their moms because they pitch a fit any weekend they have to go. Also, I know this is a big hassle for my grandma even though she doesn't say anything, and it's not good for her health. Now my dad has to come back from overseas to deal with it too. Maybe I should have just apologized even though it wasn't my fault and waited it out. Edit. Wow, I didn't expect so many responses. Thanks for telling me that it's not my fault. I feel like I'm a big problem for everyone all the time, so it's nice to hear maybe it's not me. It's just I feel really bad and I'm scared. I don't want to go back to mom. My grandma said that I can stay with her for as long as I want and she's happy to have me, but I'm afraid everyone will change their mind. I really hope my dad gets here soon and that he doesn't get in trouble for having to come get me. He shouldn't have to worry about me when he's deployed because I know it's already hard and he's serving the country. I'm going to try to not think about it or my mom, and even if they send me back, at least it's quiet here right now. Top comments. Not the a-hole, and this is so not your fault. Child Services doesn't remove children for an isolated incident like this. Either you're leaving out details you think are irrelevant, or there is additional crap you don't know. I'm sorry you're having to deal with all that, and I'm more sorry someone made you feel like this was on you. Not the a-hole. I cannot express how much you are not the a-hole here. No 16-year-old should be left in a situation like this. Your mom and dad need to take care of their children, they can't leave it to you. It sounds like your dad simply ducked out and your mom started exploiting you so that her new boyfriend wouldn't have to take care of his kids. I'll bet those kids hate going to their moms because she doesn't let them run around like savages. Your friend did the right thing by calling the cops. I just hope that your grandma is treating you right and that you can spend the last couple of years of your childhood just being a child for a change. I'm sure the cops didn't believe your mom because her story makes no sense. What kind of kid in this day and age runs away from home without taking their phone with them? I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel HB Reddit Stories.